kids, welcome to the Stylus Harmony Rigging Dimension tutorial guide thing. I'm just going to do a quick little video today talking a little bit more about tilting the head, because it's something that I talked about briefly in the keyframing video, where many people who animate in cutout will rotate a head like this and just kind of give it a weird 3/4 awkward head tilt, whereas we want to get a real like head down or head up. We want to actually tilt the head in various directions. And I want to show you a quick way to do that if you're not good with perspective or head perspective, just by using this sort of an idea. This is what you do if you're rotating a character for a model sheet, or if you want to rig a character, you got him in his like boring generic state, and you take each piece and rotate it orthographically so that all the pieces line up and the heights stay the same thing. So one thing juniors do when they're rotating things is they're not meticulous enough about their rotations. So here I'm going by the bottom of this line, and they're not quite lined up because they've been animated after they were cut up. But here you wanna, so the very bottom of the line is touching here. So if I were to do another view, say the front view, I would want the bottom of my line here to be where that actually connects. I don't want to use the top of the line instead. So here I'm getting that much thickness now that the rotation is incorrect. And it doesn't seem too bad when you're zoomed in that far, but often baby animators use very thick lines. Even if they're doing it on paper, they'll be heavy-handed, and this line will be quite thick. So the difference between the top of the line and the bottom line is actually gets significant. They also don't use enough lines. So here I've got a line for the hair. I'd also want to use lines for the eyebrows, the eyelids, top of the eye, bottom of the eye, and then I might move them to double check my glasses. I'll move this one here to double check my glasses. So the great thing about digital is you don't actually need a permanent line for every single piece. You can move it and then you can check, okay, the ear's still lined up over here. Bottom of the ear's still lined up. But if you're doing it on paper, you can just use your ruler to make sure that everything is lined up like that, and make sure you do all the pieces. Another thing that baby animators do when they're rotating characters is they don't know how to count. So this guy here will have 3 buttons and this guy here will have 2 buttons. That happens all the time when baby animators are rotating things. And it could be as obvious as buttons. It could also be that this side has pockets and the pockets don't make it to the next view. It could be that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little white bits, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little white bits. Little things like that. Practice your counting. Use your fingers if you have to. But make sure that your details stay consistent. Here he has 3 loopies, there he has 3 loopies, unless the rotation would display more than you have. You want to be consistent with details like that. Just a quick rant on that stuff. Note to self, don't have peanuts while you record a video. So another thing you can do with these lines is if you need to tilt the head back, now you have a guide for where all the different pieces are going to be on your 3/4 front view. So of course, the more you tilt the head back, the more things are really going to get distorted. So you are going to have to use some brain for this, but it really helps for you to keep this other stuff lined up. We're just going to bring our guidelines along to all the important pieces, whatever you think is going to be essential to getting this looking right. And then we can use these lines as a guide for figuring out our dude. So here, chin's got to come up. And you will have to squish the head a little bit to get it to do what you need it to do. But that's what happens when you tilt your head back. Your forehead, as you look up, is getting smaller this way. And your hair is getting smaller if you think of it as a vertical entity. Now, adding a features peg is really helpful when you're doing this sort of stuff, because now I can just grab his entire face and bring it up so that his eyes are about on the level with here. And I can also keep them horizontal, because that's really what makes these head tilts look weird, is when you tilt your head allegedly up, but your eyes are coming across this way. But if you were to actually tilt your head up, your eyes would still stay relatively horizontal, but your pieces would come together like this. So it's the difference between this and this that we're trying to achieve here. All right, now here the eyes actually shrink vertically, which makes sense if you're coming from a perspective point. You're looking straight at something, it's going to be this, like this. But if they start looking up, then they're going to be rotating around the sphere. So it makes sense that they're going to be squished a little bit. And this is a good little exercise. If you draw a ball and then draw something on the surface of the ball going around like this, that's a good way to just practice your simple perspective, getting your characters looking in different directions. Just draw an eye monster. Lots of eyes looking in all different places. And I'm actually going to tilt these a little bit. And now that I've got my eyes in place, I'm going to use these same things to forget my glasses. My glasses aren't too bad. But I do want to tilt them a little bit. Because that's another thing. Things aren't just going straight up. So here, if you have your glasses, they're not just moving straight up as they're squishing, but because we're on a 3/4 position, our eyes are actually going to come around the sphere following this sort of a line. And I talk a lot about learning to draw in this way, thinking about the three-dimensionality of forms. And this is where that sort of thing comes in handy, because if the eyes are rotating around this sphere, then they're not just going straight up, they're actually tilting backwards like this, or they're starting to tilt this way. So the eyes would be sort of going more on that angle, okay? So that's something you have to think about when you're tilting this head up as well. And it can be achieved just by doing like a little sneaky tilt. You don't need ultra pure perspective for a cartoon. It just needs to feel right. And this is one thing that another place, like the ears, that a lot of juniors don't think about. When you tilt your head down, your ear almost comes up. You tilt your head back, your ear goes down, depending on the axis of rotation. This is a great thing this is why you study life drawing, because then you can put that stuff into practice, see how it works. Look at how the different parts of the body move in relation to the joints. So now I can remove these lines once we're satisfied that we've got all our pieces working. I think the mouth, that's going to come up a bit higher. And we can take away these lines. And now you can see that our head is feeling a little bit more like it's tilting up as opposed to this. All right, so now I'm going to show you the difference. So here our head is looking up, and it's not perfect. There's some stuff I'm going to eyeball in here once I have a chance to take a look at it, see if it feels right to me. Because looking right is better than being right, if that makes sense when you're drawing or you're doing something like this. Sometimes things can be 100% accurate, but they don't look nice. So cool is better than correct in a lot of cases. That feels fairly tilty to me. And if we compare that to this, this is what a lot of, this guy's doing it too. Well, that's creepy. Ooh. So this is what a lot of cutout guys do. They just turn the head a little bit to the right, and it's not looking up. It's like a dog that's confused, going, Confused head, up head. Confused, up, 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 whoa. And of course it works going down as well. So you could go down and then draw in your lines here, grab all these guys and pull them down and do the exact same thing. That's not a big long one. It's just something I wanted to throw out there as a way to help you guys get these head tilts a little better. Practice doing these little heads. You don't need to be the best draftsman in the world to do just practice doing little spheres and not circles. You want to be able to draw a beach ball and have these lines going around the surface of the beach ball. Stuff like this. So that way when you need to do an eye that is rotating around this character's head, or you need to do an alien with lots of different eyes, you're not making a fool of yourself and just doing circles going across like this, because that doesn't make sense. And this is a good way to make sure that your head is keeping its proportions by using the side view, which will tilt up and down and look great. And then you can use that as a guide. Not totally strict, you don't have to adhere to it 100%, but you get a better idea of the proportions of the chin and the forehead and stuff when you do this. You don't have to rely as much on guessing or using your own brain. And making your life easier is what this channel is all about. Alright, so thanks for dropping by. I need these peanuts now and not choke on them. Like, share, subscribe, all those things internet people ask you to do. And I'll see you in the next video.